The following is a presentation of the NABL.
Welcome to tonight's game. This one's going to be good. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
We're underway here in Dallas, Texas. LaShawn Murphy right up.
Here he goes.
He rolls it in.
You know what game is? That's when you play.
He's going to take it all the way. Oh, my goodness gracious.
And it's going to be out of bounds. Oh, great save.
Oh, my goodness. We feel like we can go out and dominate.
Lands it home and closes it out with authority.
That's game. That's game.
Welcome. That is NABL basketball.
The playoffs, the postseason, the tournament, the dream. Yeah, the goal of the entire season has been to get to this point and then do some damage while you're there. And yes, each team's dream is just so happens to destroy every other team's dream. It's win or go home. And though home is where the heart is, that's not where the NABL championship trophy is. Welcome to this playoff edition of the BackCourt, the official show of record for the North American Basketball League here on the NABL network. I am your extremely likable host, Ken Buckner with you. Appreciate you tuning in for this week. It's a big one. The opening round is in the books of the 2017 NABL playoffs, and we have a few upsets to speak of. The conference finals, we'll talk about that coming up. And around the corner, yeah, it's the big one, the NABL's Final Four in the championship series. So, who made it through? Who was sent packing? Our BackCourt Round 1 recap. The finale of the NABL's regular season gave us a clear playoff picture. Actually, we splurged a little bit, and we actually sprung for a full-on playoff portrait. Isn't that nice? Filled with happy little trees and happy little teams. Maybe a tree over there, just for some color. Happy little accidents. But after week one, some legitimate favorites to make it to Atlanta's championship series, they were bounced, forced to plan their summer vacations a little earlier than they had hoped. Wally World, kids! Huh? Big Ben? Parliament? Let's begin with the NABL's Western Conference. The reigning and defending Western Conference champions, the Dallas Hoyas, had a tougher 2017 than most people expected. But under head coach Paul Parker, the Hoyas made it into the postseason as the final seed, the fourth spot in the conference, which meant that they had to travel away from home court if they were going to make it back to the championship finals. The other surprise in the West this year was, well, standing in their way. After a season of putting the haters and the naysayers completely to shame, in fact, honestly, proving us all wrong nearly every week. Yeah, I'll admit, I didn't even give the San Antonio Lions the true credit that they not only deserved, but they flat out earned.
Yup.
All right, we're bringing her back.
You want to do it again? Catch me outside. How about that?
Moving on. San Antonio. After locking up the number one seed in the Western Conference, locked up home court subsequently throughout the playoffs, and the Lions, who are good on the road, yeah, are great and vicious at home. So the semifinal matchup of Dallas traveling to San Antonio was one that just had a lot of eyes on it, had a lot to watch in this one. In the Lions' den, San Antonio went undefeated throughout 2017, okay? And having swept the season series over the Hoyas, well, could they do it again when it mattered most?
Yup.
In the closest game of the opening semifinal round of the NABL playoffs, only 5 points decided who went on and who went home in this one. And after a 118-113 final, ladies and gentlemen, we will have a new Western Conference champion this season as the Lions win, taking down Dallas and the Hoyas. Whew, we got to talk about this one. On the BackCourt, let's head to the River City of Texas and Lions guard and MVP candidate Eric Stewart. Well, before I congratulate you on a fantastic regular season. Congratulations on this huge win. Another big one for the Lions, this time taking down the reigning, defending Western Conference champions again this year, but this time in the playoffs, round number 1. Victory over the Hoyas, 118-113. This was a close one, razor thin. Take us through the game, Stu.
From jump, you can tell that they came ready to play. I think we went up. We went up early, got a double-digit lead, like 10. They fought back in, like, the fourth quarter, and they took the lead by, like, 4. Then we just had to grind it out, got a couple steals, made some free throws, pulled it out in the end, man.
Woo, free throws. There we go. A little replay of last year's opening round, but this time it broke your way. So there you go, man. That's why you spend so much time in the gym, right? There on the practice floor. Very good. All right. Well, as I lose equipment literally falling off my face. You know what? The win takes the Lions to 11 W's on the season. What has been the big change from a year ago?
I just have to say everybody being committed. Everybody's all the way in now. You know what I'm saying? No half-stepping. We're all committed. We got one goal. We want to win the championship. Felt like last year was a letdown, and it's because we didn't take it serious. So now we want to take it serious and see where we get.
So the Hoyas, they're out. And the surprise Lions are still stunning the West in the league. But who will San Antonio play in the Western Conference Finals? Well, that question was answered by the matchup that took place in Fort Worth, as the number 3 seed, the Mislu Warriors, traveled to visit the number 2, DFW United. Now, you talk about two teams that have experienced turnaround seasons. Taking the proverbial U-turn were the Warriors, who missed the postseason completely a year ago. And then the United, who failed to make it past the first round in 2016, but with both teams having new head coaches, new attitudes, chemistry. Either way, this win, it would honestly be considered a successful season for both teams, really. It's a bit harsh, but I see where you're going with that, graphics people. I do. DFW swept the season series over Miss Lou in this one, but the Warriors came this time with free agent point guard LaShawn Murphy on their roster. And early on, yes, it did look like the Warriors were prime for upsetting this whole apple cart after jumping out to a double-digit lead on DFW. But, well, behind the performances of MVP candidate Dedrick Dews and guard Thad Varmel, the United pulled away and they never, ever looked back. A resounding 146-126 victory to send the DFW United into the Western Conference Final and on a collision course with San Antonio. So let's jump to DFW now. And as we always say, class up this show a little bit, because we could use a little bit, right? I never wear a tie. It's too formal. But she's the effervescent United head coach, Kimberly Green, on the backcourt. All right, Saturday's 146-126 win over the Warriors. Coach Green, take us through that game, through your perspective, in that game that saw Miss Lou up early by double digits on an early run, but that run did not last for long.
Yes, that was a very anticipated game. I think the playoffs in the Western Conference was anticipated either way, because teams 1 through 4, you knew it was going to be a battle. Mm-hmm. So no matter who you played, you know that you had to come and be ready. And so at the beginning, and I think they kind of do this on purpose sometimes, but at the beginning, they're just taking their time and, just going with the flow. And I'm like, what are you doing? Serious, And so, I had to call a timeout and kind of get everybody together, but I think that we've done a better job of knowing when to share the ball, when to keep the ball. I put some different groups in there together, some guys who maybe had, they had played different years together, and everybody kind of fit in different pieces. And I tried some things out, some different things that I hadn't tried before, and it actually worked out really well, So I knew that game was going to be tough. I knew it was going to be tough. Coach Cal, the Warriors, they always bring it, and just because one team may get up doesn't mean you're going to keep that lead. So I just had to make sure that everybody stayed focused. They realized, hey, put your foot on the gas, don't let up. And they actually did awesome. I was very proud of my guys. I mean, how they played, they kept their heads. They didn't worry about, little ticky-tacky calls or whatever, or if they, turned the ball over, they just kept pushing, And so that was a very proud moment, because that kind of showed me that at the end of the day, even though we kind of started slow, we were able to brush it off and keep moving. So, yeah, but it was a really good game.
In the Western Conference, and just taking that specifically, there are a lot of standout players within certain teams, MVP candidates, and then I hate to say that there's a drop-off or anything like that, but you'll see a lot of teams just rely on one or two players. With your squad, I mean, it's largely been the same roster from the preseason, in fact, very few modifications. I think the DFW team is the best team in perhaps the league, but certainly in the West.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of how we had talked before, when I was going through the tryout process, I didn't necessarily look for who was maybe the best player in the city or who could go one-on-one. I looked for who could buy into a system of team basketball. And I can actually say that's actually what they did. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter who I start. It doesn't matter who comes off the bench. It doesn't matter how many minutes. They've adjusted to realizing we have one goal. So however I fit into that puzzle, then I'm willing to do that, And I've just been blessed because, everybody that I have, most of them have traveled. So when we went out of town, we always had a pretty good bench, But everybody that I have, they have great spirits and great attitudes, you know what I mean? And no one's ever going to be perfect, but for the most part, they just want to win, So they're okay with, like I said, sometimes certain people start. For the most part, I keep the same starters, but they're okay with me being flexible as well, Yeah. But, man, I really stuck to my guns on I want a team type of environment. And I hate to go to, Golden State Warriors, but I look at them as kind of like a team that no matter who's on the floor, they can produce. And no matter who they sub in and out, they can still get the job done. So that's what I wanted my team to be able to do. No matter who's on the floor, we still know that we can compete well. So I'm not going to only rely on 3 or 4 people. No, I need to make sure I have 8.
Right. Definitely.
That I can 8 or more. And so I actually have more than that. So.
And those are the last 8 teams. I mean, pretty much across the board, you can say that about. The victory Saturday not only punched your ticket into the Western Conference Final, but, Coach, it was also the first playoff win in franchise history and of your head coaching career, too. What does that mean to you personally, and what does that mean to the United organization?
Well, for me personally, it was a big achievement, a big milestone. Like I said, I wouldn't have been able to do it without my guys, but it means so much because, I took the head coaching job and I did it because, of course, Gerard, the owner, had asked me, hey, I think you'd be great for my organization. Would you come over? And, I was like, man, I might be doing this by myself, you know what I mean? And so, there's been a lot of things that I've had to learn. What works, what doesn't work. You get a lot of, advice from different people. They say, oh, you should do it like this or you shouldn't do it like that. But at the end of the day, I had to go with what I felt was right, and how I wanted to make sure that I treated people and how they felt. And so for me to achieve that, it was very big. But I think more so for our organization, you never know what people have going on behind the game. And I can actually say that I have some great stand-up guys. I have some guys who have been through a lot in the season, deaths or different situations. Yeah. So for me, for us to win that game, it meant more about them because I know personally what we have overcame as a family.
Right.
And so, the league doesn't have to see that, but personally, I know that when they come to that game, a lot of them are making sacrifices. So for them to get that win, it's like, hey, that's about perseverance, that's about strength, and that's what it's about. So
there you have it. It's the United and the Lions this Saturday, with the winner advancing into the NABL Championship Series. We will preview that coming up a little bit later on the backcourt. See what I did there? I did in this business what's called a tease.
Ooh, that's nice.
All right, let's go east. While the Atlanta Show and the Huntsville Force are patiently waiting for their playoffs to start, yes, patience is a virtue. They both are enjoying the rest and relaxation, if you will, of a first-round bye after both teams notching 11-win seasons. 2 semifinal games, though, were going on, played in the North and South divisions of the Eastern Conference, and that sets up the upcoming matchups as the Vulcans traveled to Carbondale, Illinois to face the Pharaohs. Now, truly a fascinating matchup of 2 squads that were 1-1 against each other throughout the year. They split the season series, but that home court advantage, man, that cannot be understated, all right? Seemingly Birmingham had this one in the bag, but the Pharaohs, they rallied, and they take it to move on 115-107 Southern Illinois. For the story, well, let's jump for our next interview on the backcourt to the coach of Southern Illinois and Jeff Mallory. Welcome back to the backcourt, head coach of the Southern Illinois Pharaohs. Good to see you, head coach Jeff Mallory.
Good to talk to you again, Ken.
All right. It was a wild one, to say the least, and a comeback win went all the way late into the fourth quarter, opening round. Victory for the Pharaohs, 115-107 over Birmingham. Things were a little tenuous for a bit there on your home court. But the sandstorm, you know what? It started blowing late, but it eventually took the win. Talk about this game.
Well, it was very interesting because we knew that when we went to Birmingham previously and played them there, we played solid. We played a good game. We were together. I think we put together a good 4 quarters. And then, of course, this is playoff time, so you gotta ante up your game. You gotta bring it because we knew that Birmingham was just going to settle. And we had a huge lead the first half, and then all of a sudden, when they started coming back, I had to make a few adjustments for us to honestly get back into the flow of things. So just making a few changes in what we did and kind of prevailed us eventually.
Well, that win sends you officially into the Eastern's Northern Final. But before we dig into that matchup, I talked to you about halfway throughout the season. 2017, year one of the Pharaohs, year one of being in the NABL. As you look back now at this point so far, what stands out to you, and how has your team grown along the way?
Well, I think we've grown a lot. What's surprising is the fact that our guys have actually bought into what we're trying to accomplish here. A lot of them had come from just different situations where they felt like it wasn't a lot of togetherness there. But then once they started feeding into what we were looking at, and from then to now has made a whole lot of difference to them. And honestly, understanding the game a lot more and what it means to really have good chemistry in a lot of cases.
So the Pharaohs head on to face the Huntsville Force, one of, I think, must-watch, no matter what you're doing on Saturday, games of the conference finals. I mean, I don't care what you're doing. I mean, that kid is way too close to the TV, okay? Yeah, that's what happens, kids. See? But before we size up that matchup between Southern Illinois and Huntsville, I'm teasing again. The Eastern Southern Division, they had some work to do as well, as the Music City Kings, in their first ever playoff appearance, hosted their first ever playoff game in the NABL, and against a familiar opponent, the Savannah Cavaliers. Now, Savannah, who has been really an interesting little experiment in a petri dish throughout this season to watch. Savannah only has really just started late in the year getting their game on. They were not the favorite going into this one, if we're just being honest. Away from home, having a tough go of it, surprisingly, in 2017, but Dennis Green's Cavs came to play because in the postseason, your records mean nothing. And Savannah, they take down Music City on the road, 136-111, an upset in the semifinal round of the 2017 NABL playoffs. So let's do this. Let's go to Georgia now and check in on Savannah with head coach and owner of the Cavaliers. And I believe his lovely wife is joining him too, just slightly off camera from what I can tell in our preview screen. Let's go talk to Mr. Green. Well, Coach Dennis, the Cavaliers, all you guys got to do now for 2 straight years is get to the playoffs, and hey, Savannah becomes dangerous. It's beautiful. It's like a patented maneuver.
Oh, wow.
Now, on the road last week, you win over the Music City Kings, that game in Nashville, and you do it handily too, 136-111. It started a little iffy for Savannah, but you guys then took over and ran away. Tell us just about the game, Dennis.
Well, it's one of those storytelling books here that you have to play, which we've been having a little trouble all year, was playing not the whole 48 minutes. We had started in the beginning and somehow we get kind of lost in the shuffle there. But on Saturday we completed the whole 48 minutes and it turned out pretty good.
Yeah, it's been an up and down year, at least in the regular season for the Cavaliers. We've talked about that before, but summarize 2017 so far for Savannah in your words.
Oh, wow, it's growing pain. Growing pain. Growing pain. It was an up and down year. We lost a lot of players that was with us last year. We started with a bunch of new faces, and we lost a couple of them on the way through the injuries and other issues that we probably would have had. But yeah, this season here been really a challenge year. But overall, it's really in the sense of starting, like I tell the gentlemen, man, we started slow, but let's just finish strong, and I think we are got that locked in, and we're focused more on trying to finish strong.
Now, last year you made the long trip to Dallas, Texas, to be a part of the inaugural season's NABL Championship Series. Mm-hmm. What did you personally take, and as far as an organization, what did you gain from being a part of the Final Four and the big championship series last year that you can take going forward in these playoffs?
Well, it's something which you can do every year, first of all. But it was good. It was a good experience. It was something most of the majority of the guys look forward to trying to repeat it and try to, cover and try to get back to that, scene. So really, in a sense, it's something we started in the beginning of the season. Our challenge to get back to the championship series and really try to win it, And basically, right now we're back in the same position that we were in last year. So you never know what might happen.
All right, so that's the story out of Savannah. And we bid adieu to Music City. Congrats to the Kings on a landmark 2017 where the franchise saw a lot of firsts. So much love. It was a joy, Music City. And it sets up our Eastern Conference final. We'll dive into that rivalry renewal of Atlanta versus Savannah, which is just fun to say, quite honestly. Try it at home. We'll do that coming up. But time to jump to the other coast. Wait, that way. Yes, here on the BackCourt, we cover sea to shining sea and coast to coast. And get that off of here. Way out to the west and northern Pacific, where the Kitsap Admirals, too, they were enjoying a first-round bye, awaiting the winner of this one, the Quad City Flames and the Tacoma Thunder. Now, these two teams played each other not once, not twice, but 3 times throughout this regular season, with the Thunder going 2-1 in the series. Tacoma soundly the number 2 seed in these playoffs for the West Coast Conference, and the Flames, well, Quad City just barely made it into the playoffs. I mean, this game, the outcome, the result should have been a no-brainer, right?
Wrong, sir. Wrong.
Right. But I want it now. Wrong, sir. Yeah, this is why we normally decide against thinking on this show, because usually we're wrong.
You get nothing.
Another upset of the semifinals came to us in this one as the Flames silence the Thunder 110-92 on the road and to the West Coast. We go. Let's talk to the doc of Quad City. Ladies and gentlemen, the doctor is in the house and here on the backcourt. Doc Stansel, head coach of the Quad City Flames. Welcome to the show. Great to have you on.
Good to be here.
You're coming off a rousing and to some surprising upset over the Tacoma Thunder in round number 1 of the playoffs, 110-92. Coach, this game was seemingly in your control throughout most of it, if not at least the second half. Take us through that big win and the first NABL playoff win in Quad City history.
We know we're better than most people think we are. They actually came together to try to show people that what we're trying to do here in the Pacific Northwest is win. And in order to get my guys where they need to be, they know that they need to win.
And in that game specifically, because, that is such a tough conference. I mean, all four of you guys, no strangers to each other in the West Coast. Kitsap, Tacoma, Quad City, SB. You guys play each other and have for several years as well. Talk about specifically in this Tacoma game, really, just what was the tipping point and really what gave the Flames the win?
We wanted to come out and set the pace. My vets, Will Kazi, Justin Chappell, they wanted this to I think they're looking to retire from competitive basketball, so they want to go out on top. And my younger guys know that in order to do that, we have to push the pace and play at our pace.
Fantastic. It as you alluded to, it's been a bit of a bumpy ride through the regular season in the NABL for the Flames. But you know what? It was enough to grab that final spot in the West Coast for the playoffs. Looking back at this 2017, what immediately pops into your mind, or maybe, as I should say, with the Flames, was burned into your memory from this season in the NABL?
Being able to see a couple of my guys get offered college scholarships. A lot of teams don't know, but we have a developmental team as well. One of my big guys got an opportunity to get a 2-year scholarship in Oregon, and my younger guys also got offered a scholarship. So for my vets, they want to show these young guys that if you listen and you play hard, you get those opportunities.
How big would a trip to Atlanta to be a part of the championship series be for Quad City?
For a first-year program, that would be huge. We have a lot of following here in the Pacific Northwest, the Philippines, and in North Carolina as well.
So the conference finals, they're set now. You ready to size them up? Let's do it. Yes, only one win separates these 8 teams from an appearance in the NABL Championship Series. One win, one game, 4 quarters, 48 minutes, 2,880 seconds. Past that, the math just gets way too complicated. Of course, the opposite is true as well. All that is also that separates 8 teams from having to go home and then wait patiently and rebuild for 2018. But I am a glass half full kind of guy, unless I'm thirsty. So let's take it. Who now has a shot at the series and the matchups in the NABL Conference Finals? Well, we were just there, so let's stay there. Mainly because cross-country trips are very expensive, and I have long since used all my frequent flyer miles, and some airlines won't even let me on anymore. So the West Coast Conference Final, Saturday, as the Quad City Flames head to the Kitsap Admirals, the number 3 seed and the number 1. Back to Quad City, or as the kids say, the QC. They do say that, right?
Yup.
Okay. Oddly, she would know. The head coach of the Flames, let's go back and talk to Doc Stansel to preview this one. All right. To know thy enemy is to defeat thy enemy. A close 7-point loss to the Admirals back in April. That was followed up by a bit of a lopsided loss in June. With already one upset in the playoffs under your belt, what must you do Saturday against the Kitsap Admirals to win the West Coast Conference outright and to get to Atlanta in the championship series?
Just play our game. Don't rush. Don't push the pace, or play it at their pace. Play at our pace. We know we can, and we're preparing for it. From here, I'm about to go out and work out a couple of my players and get them ready for Saturday.
There you go. The grind never ends, does it?
Oh no. Hopefully my big guy will be back. 7'3", Peyton Porvier. So we're looking forward to it.
So are we too. That West Coast Conference, what a great addition this season it's been in the NABL, and really appreciate the time you being here on the backcourt, Coach.
I appreciate you having me.
Question is, can the Flames, or anyone for that matter, sink the Admirals? 6-0 on the year with MVP candidate Lonnie Pearson leading the charge. It would be quite the upset, yes. So let's go back to the Northwest for the Kitsap take on it all and head coach Ashley Robinson. Rested and relaxed after a first-round bye over there in the West Coast Conference, and I can see you're on the move right now. Coach, we're going to dive right in. How do you think a week off benefits or maybe doesn't benefit your players and team going into this winner-go-home matchup on Saturday?
Well, the great part about it, although we had a rest out of the league, we didn't rest from playing basketball. We're currently playing in the Jamal Crawford crossover league, and so we actually had 2 games over this past weekend. So we're definitely ready to go.
Yeah, leave it to the Kitsap Admirals, whether it's on this side of the world or China or Bulgaria or Indonesia. Man, you guys are always playing games. And this year, you ran straight through the competition in the West Coast Conference. Only a few little scares, and one of them was early in the season, actually, a 7-point win over your Saturday playoff opponent, Quad City. Now, 6-0 on the year. You followed that up with a 41-point trouncing of the Flames in June. What do you have to do this weekend to keep it more like the June game and not the April game against the Flames?
Well, I would say more like the June game. I believe that the guys are now, back in tune or in rhythm because we have been playing from China to the Jamal Crawford to the Isaiah Thomas. So we've been playing nonstop, which allow us to get back in the flow of things. And just the fact that our whole mission was to get to Atlanta to give our chance a chance to win a league title. And so with that all on the line, I think that will actually make a difference.
Quad City has already upset one team in the playoffs, taking down the Tacoma Thunder. How do you keep your Admirals focused after not just an undefeated season, but, as you said, but playing these games too? That first week bye, maybe not such a big thing as you just mentioned, but after an undefeated season, not resting on your laurels, so to speak.
Well, this will be our more than second season. So we've been undefeated. So this is not the first time that we've been able to have a winning streak. So for us, it's if we're not winning, then there's something's wrong. And so I think that's one of the things too. Is just I think this is number 4 or 5 between the different leagues and things we've been in that we went undefeated. So like I said, that's one of the heartaches right now because we're playing in the Pro-Am and they changed up some of the rules. So we got some players that's not actual Admirals. And so we're trying to adjust it. And we took a couple of losses and we never lost 2 games in a row. And so that's something that's new to us. So now a lot of my guys are like, you know what, let's focus on Saturday. So I think that's the biggest thing.
Well, very good. It's been a joy to watch you guys within the NABL this season and the whole formation of the West Coast Conference. And Quad City, Kitsap, Saturday on your home court. How big is a home court advantage in these playoffs?
Of course, it's always huge. I mean, now you got the momentum already, the fans pulling for you. And it's nothing like bringing the first conference title home, at your home, winning it at home. So I think that's one of the big things that we're looking at is being able to first win a conference title in the NABL and then be able to go on and seek the league title. So
all right. Well, yeah, you're obviously driving right now, and I don't know, maybe are you already on your way to Atlanta? I mean, are you that confident? Or
Well, I wish, that I wanted to go ahead and get everything set up and all of those things, but I was like, let me just wait. Let me humility and just hold on and just wait until after Saturday. Like I said, anything can happen despite us being undefeated and just our track record, but still just waiting, being patient.
Very good. All right. And don't drive to Atlanta, by the way, in the championships. Take a flight.
Okay. Yeah. We looked at it, and that's way too long of a drive. Yeah.
I like it. Already planning for the big dance. All right. But they take on the Quad City Flames this Saturday. Ashley Robinson, appreciate the time, and be safe wherever you're headed.
All right.
All right, bud. 39 hours, by the way, if you drive from Bremerton, Washington to Atlanta, Georgia. So, yes, please, definitely take a flight. Well, she wanted a window seat. Okay. Moving to the conference divisional finals in the East, because remember, there are 2 divisions in the Eastern Conference. The East Northern Division final puts an interesting matchup, a rematch in our hands of the 2 expansion teams in the East that have their shot at making year 1 an extremely successful maiden voyage. The Southern Illinois Pharaohs travel to Huntsville to face the Force. Yes, a long time ago in a galaxy, in a court not too far away. Yes, this makes the 23rd time on this show that I have used a Star Wars reference when it comes to talking about having the Force. Yes. But for these 2, who split the season series by a total of 9 combined points between 2 games, boy, this was going to be good. This could go either way, okay? Southern Illinois, 7-2 on the year, travels to 11-3 Huntsville. For a little insight on how the Pharaohs plan to topple the number 1 seed. Let's go back to Illinois. And head coach Jeff Mallory. An expansion team in the NABL Championship Series. We thought it could happen before we began the year, and it's going to come out of this game Saturday. Traveling now to Huntsville to face the Force. You split the series with Huntsville. In fact, both games were decided by a total of 9 points. So you played them close all year. Size this one up. What do the Pharaohs need to do to take the win and to move on to the championship series?
Well, in our first game against them, for some reason, we had a huge lead. And then all of a sudden, they're a scrappy team. So they came back. They have some key players there that definitely will make you play and make you earn anything you do at the team. And so, with that being said, we pulled that one out. But when we went to Huntsville, we were on the other end of it. And so now we got to play catch up. And then we actually caught up, took the lead, and then it was a wire there pretty much. And so they pulled that one out. I think the big thing with us is we have to continue to match their intensity, their energy. Like I said, they got a lot of key components on that team that really that click together. us as a group, we need to continue to be cohesive and make sure that we bring a brand of basketball that we know we can bring to the table. We can't hold back and get complacent. I think in some cases in that second game against them down at home field, we did that. But if we can really continue to bring that 4 quarters, I think not only do we have a good game, but I think we can prevail.
Now, on the flip side, Huntsville is coming off their first round bye and are a team who have won 9 consecutive wins. The Force have not lost since April, but the last 9 times.
9 times?
Yes.
9 times.
That Huntsville stepped on the court, it has come away with a victory. Woo! Let's check in on that Huntsville Force, shall we? Head coach of the Force, Justin Billings. The head coach of the Force with us. It's a great honor to have you back here on the backcourt, Justin Billings.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, before we size up the big Eastern Conference Northern Final, 11-3 on the year, 9 straight wins. I mean, your last loss was way back around tax time in April, for crying out loud. It's been quite the year, to say the least. In your words, though, Coach, what's been the key to all this success in Huntsville?
My first game was a road game versus Capital City.
Mm-hmm.
We were up 10 to 15 points the whole game. Then things got tough for us down the stretch. Couple attitudes and egos started to flare up. I knew right then and there we had to make some changes. So when we got home, made a few cuts, brought in some new guys with good work ethics, great attitudes. I've been telling these guys since day one, we have the talent to win this league. So I guess to answer your question, making sure you have guys that great attitudes that are willing to buy into your system and willing to put in the good work.
Yeah, team, throughout the season, it's like a race car. You got to fine-tune it along the way. Got to make some changes. Now, that 11-3 record gave you the weekend off last week. First round bye in the NABL playoffs. And to do a little scoreboard watching, maybe. Some teams respond really well to a layoff. Some get rusty, for lack of a better term. How have you kept your squad sharp through that time off?
I believe in momentum, but I also know that a break isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
I knew 2-week layoff with a 9-game win streak was going to be tough. So we basically took that time to heal our bodies. We got a lot of good stretching. We focused on our conditioning and went back to the basics. Worked on fundamental defense, fundamental ball handling, got a lot of shots up. Main thing is try to take it easy on our bodies because we knew that in order to win this, it's going to be tough to finish out.
It can be said that no team throughout the year played you tougher consistently than the Pharaohs. And Saturday, it's a chance to punch your ticket to Atlanta with a win. What needs to happen to get this victory and to build that momentum towards the championship series?
Well, we know that Southern Illinois, they're a great team, great organization. They're going to be ready to play. They're going to come in. They're going to make some big-time plays. But we have to stay focused. We got to concentrate on our game. We have to make sure that we play force basketball. We feel like if we take care of what we do, then we'll have the best chance to win that game.
It's going to be a great one this Saturday. Huntsville Force playing host to the Southern Illinois Pharaohs. Head coach, best of luck. Appreciate the time.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the opportunity.
The DFW United and the San Antonio Lions. First off, I must apologize to the Lions Nation personally for my lack of confidence in you throughout this season. And to personally receive that apology and to set up this showdown, point guard, MVP candidate from the Lions, Eric Stewart. Well, now you are literally one step away from the championship series in Atlanta. Task at hand, the United come in to the Lions Den on Saturday, 13-point San Antonio victory last time you two tangled on your home court. Both teams are firing on all cylinders. What do you see as the weakness to exploit in the United, and what needs to happen on the Lions' end to punch that ticket to Atlanta?
Good question. Well, I wouldn't say the weakness, but the thing that we have to do is just play our game. Like I said in every interview that I stepped on, all we got to do is show up and do what we do move the ball, stay aggressive on offense, keep our man in front, and I'm pretty sure we'll come out with that win.
Very good, man. Well, hey, I'll be there. In fact, I'll be calling the game. It's going to be an honor to be able to call the Western Conference Final live at NABLbasketball.com this Saturday, 5 p.m. tip-off Central Time. So, man, bring it, and we'll see you.
All right, man. I appreciate it, man.
All right, there's Stu. Eric Stewart of the San Antonio Lions on the backcourt. Okay, I really didn't give an apology there. Well, I'll be there in San Antonio to do it personally on the broadcast. But not to be outdone, because if there is a team that maybe had an equal or bigger chip on their shoulder this season than the Lions, get it? Chip, shoulder. All right, never mind. Well, we're talking about the DFW United, okay? Out to prove something all season long, and boy, have they proved it as well. DFW, who beat San Antonio in Dallas, but then lost to them in the Lions' Den this year. They could spring the upset, but instead of just crazy speculating, back to the lovely Kimberly Green. Well, the only thing standing in your way and a trip to Atlanta just so happens to be, the Lions. Extremely tough at home in the Lions' Den, as you very well know. Quite simply put, what does the United need to do on this trip to San Antonio to come back with a win and the Western Conference title?
We just got to play our game.
Yeah.
Got to make sure we play defense. We got to make sure we do all the little things. We have to rebound. We have to protect the perimeter. But we have to play our game. We have to make sure that no matter what the Lions do, that doesn't deter us from how we know how to play basketball and what has worked for us. And I think sometimes a lot of teams, get in trouble with that because either you get into an up and down game or you get into, different things and you get out of your element. Well, when you get out of your element, then pretty much the other team has already won. So my goal is going to keep everybody into United basketball, do what we do. And if we do what we do, it should be a very good game. A very good game.
So there you have it. All 4 NABL conference final matchups, and all taking place this Saturday. You can see all of the games live as they happen right there on this site, more than likely, that you're watching the backcourt, NABLbasketball.com. All right? Little pointer here, okay? You'll click on the TV that's on the homepage right there, okay? It'll send you to NABLlive.com, and then you click on TV station. You can see all the games. It's very cool. Let's talk about the big dance. Because, of course, all of this is to decide who will be in the Final Four to reach the NABL Championship Series taking place July 28th and 29th in Atlanta, Georgia. Yeah, tickets and all the info is on the website that you're at, NABLbasketball.com. Also, just go right up, right up there, right? Just click on championship. Very excited for this. And, the backcourt will be there live next week. Actually, this is really cool. Coming up next week's episode, we're all going to take a group field trip. Yeah, that's right, kids. We're going to load up the bus. Oddly, it's weird. School buses don't have seatbelts. You ever think that was strange? I did too.
Oh, come on, Ken.
That is absolutely nothing to do with anything. But the backcourt, we're going to be live next week at the NABL headquarters. Yes. Where it smells like, rich mahogany desks and many leather-bound books. And there we will meet up with the commissioner of the NABL, the venerable C. Travis Johnson. You will get your first official look at the 2017 NABL Championship trophy. Yeah. It's really shiny. And we'll get the scoop on 2018, where the NABL is going, and NABL expansion news. That is all next week on the backcourt. Plus, with all the recaps, of course, and the NABL Championship Series preview. So don't book your schedules too busy in advance, okay, next week, all right? Make some time for the show. Me, because it's important. And I have low self-esteem if you don't watch. Also, that weekend in Atlanta, we will award the individual awards, such as NABL Coach of the Year, the NABL Community Team Award, and of course, yes, NABL Most Valuable Player. So, big weekend coming in Hotlanta. End of the month. Be there, 28th, 29th. In fact, I'll save you a seat. You can sit with me right there. Okay, we must approach the following with the greatest of care. It is pick time. KB's picks. Playoff style. Yes, no simple tomfoolery here. No, sir. Serious business. Yes, of course. Now, I may have missed some picks over the regular season. Sure. Thanks for pointing that out. And I would have gotten away with it if not for you meddling kids. But in the playoffs, where upsets are commonplace and Cinderella stories are written regularly, Cinderella stories. Let's start with the West Coast Conference Final in KB's picks, okay? Prediction time. Quad City at Kitsap. As we said, Quad City just barely squeaked in to the postseason. But hey, they're here. And they already have an upset under their belt in the win over Tacoma last weekend. Are the Flames firing on all cylinders finally? Huh? Kitsap, on the other hand, an unblemished record. They've beaten the Flames twice already this year. So, the representative out of the West Coast to make it to the championship series will be, say it with me because you know where I'm going, the Kitsap Admirals. Lonnie Pearson and company, I'm sorry, they're just too tough of a juggernaut to be stopped. And though the Flames have a very bright future, enough with the on-fire puns, the now belongs to the Admirals, who once they get to Atlanta, I'm just saying a little ahead of time, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with in and of itself. But I get too far ahead of myself. Kitsap with the win over Quad City in the West Coast Conference Final. Now, let's tackle that Western Conference, all right? DFW United at the San Antonio Lions. Just ask the Lions. They will tell you, as they have told me. I've been picking against them all year. And what have they done? They go undefeated at home in the Lions' Den. They run to the top spot in the West. They prove me wrong. So with this team even more dangerous at home, which they are, why would I pick against San Antonio again, huh? Why? Because possibly. But when you live by offense and you die by offense, it can bite you at some point. And like I have said all year long, even though I've been incorrect, if San Antonio is knocking down their shots, yeah, they're going to knock down any opponent and door in front of them. Period, okay? If they're raining the buckets, especially from behind the arc, they're unstoppable. But if those buckets stop falling, if the drought occurs, well, watch out. And in the West, the only team, in my opinion, that can keep up offensively with the Lions, first off, well, that's the United, who along with that also combined to play arguably the best team defense in the Western Conference. So you add all of that up, and as I have done before, and I have regretted it, I'm going to do it again. That's right. Give me the United to upset San Antonio and to punch their ticket to Atlanta. I know. And this is really probably not very bright because I'm literally going to be in San Antonio this Saturday to broadcast the game for you. But I may be wrong because we've been down this road before. But what is that Einstein said the definition of insanity was? Right. Just do it over and over. Well, I've been called worse. Many of which cannot be repeated on the backcourt. Yeah, I've been there. Life boy. Ugh. Okay, right now. DFW over San Antonio. There you go. To the dynamic duo of finals in the Eastern Conference, with the Eastern's Northern Division taking place between the Southern Illinois Pharaohs at the Huntsville Force. As we said, these two teams split the season series throughout the year. Yes, but with the Pharaohs having to run on the road and the Force seemingly unstoppable and looking to reel off their 10th straight win of the season, give me the Huntsville Force to be the ones that head to Atlanta. which should be interesting because remember, they're the only team that beat the show. Speaking of, the Savannah Cavaliers could, and they do have it in them, to pull off the upset over the Atlanta show on Saturday in the Eastern Conference Southern Divisional Final. But Atlanta rarely does not step up their game, okay? They rise to the occasion, especially in the playoffs. We saw that last year, especially in the final. They just went nuts. Show up and show out, the Atlanta show say, and they will show off on their way to a second straight trip to the championship series. This one, of course, taking place in their hometown. And I predict Atlanta will take care of Savannah. So my Final Four prediction is this: Kitsap, DFW, Huntsville, and Atlanta. And only 2 of those teams, by the way, were in the preseason power rankings. So we'll see. Of course, and as always, I could and probably will be wrong. Anything can and frequently does happen in the NABL. It is, in a way, the twilight zone of the basketball world. And in this weekend, well, it's certainly not going to be any exception in the postseason, after all. And you can see it all happen, as we said, right in front of your eyes as it goes down on the court. Catch all of the NABL Conference Finals games live, NABLbasketball.com. In fact, like I said, I'll be the one calling the game live from San Antonio for the United and the Lions as well, too. And we will be back next week for the recap of all of these games. More interviews, certainly, championship preview edition, and much, much more. Plus, kids, remember the field trip. Remember to have your parents sign those permission slips so you can come along. Okay? We do everything very, very legally on this show. So do not miss the backcourt next week, okay? Till then, thank you so much to the plethora of guests that we had. The biggest weekend of guests, by the way, on the backcourt. So, my indebted thanks and appreciation to you. And of course, to you for being fans of the NABL and watching this show week in and week out. My name is Ken Buckner. Your name is still your name. This is the BackCourt on the NABL Network.